we solicited questions from the Level Up Romance group, and we'll start with those just to get everything kicked off. And then at the end, we're going to try to save plenty of time for you guys to ask your questions, so start thinking of them. And you'll come up to the behind the camera and ask your questions at the end. Okay? So, I'm Aidy Aaward. I write Creepy Girl Romance and Paranormal and Contemporary, and I am a rainbow trout working really hard to get to salmon. If you don't know what those levels are, they're how many dollars you make a month, and I'm not going to explain them all because they're in the 20 Books to 50K group, in the pinned posts.
I'm Jami Albright. I write romantic comedy, and I am a rainbow trout morphing. I'm just right on the edge of being a salmon.
Good girl.
I'm Alex Liddell. I write reverse harem romance. I'm a salmon. I know you did. I am a salmon who occasionally morphs into a dolphin.
I'm Nora Phoenix. I write MM romance or gay romance. I'm a salmon on my way to a dolphin.
Hi, I'm Caroline Peckham. I write paranormal romance and I am a salmon as of this year.
Okay, so question number one. These are questions from Algae, who are people who are making $0 to $9 a month. So people very motivated to level up, right? Question number one. We're probably going to only have one panelist answer each of these questions, so we leave plenty of time because we only have 37 minutes and 38 seconds. What piece of advice has made the biggest impact for you in your career?
Build your email list. Build it before you put out a book if you can. I was lucky enough to do that, and I had 1,200 people on my email list when my first book came out, and it is why I went to 1,350 in the store on the first day. So those are 1,200 people that wanted my book. So build it.
Yes.
All right. Since this is for algae level, my algae level advice is you're running a business. If that's going to be your first level up mental jump. You're running a business.
Algae question number two. Oops, I skipped it. What promotion would you say gave you the biggest boost at the beginning of your career?
Networking for sure. I had the fortunate to network and connect with someone who was already an established name in my genre. She beta read my book, she's sitting right there. And she already had a Facebook group, and because she really loved my book, she promoted me to her readers. And because they trusted her, they bought my book, which made the launch of my first book super successful. So that was, for me, in terms of promotion, crucially important in my success.
I like 2 each time.
I always just say, like, reach out to people if you think you're at a lower level and you think, oh, I can't talk to these authors that are doing so much better. I find that they are really responsive, and the ones who aren't, it doesn't matter, just keep asking, and then you start getting newsletter swaps, which are free. So if you're at that level, then it's a great way to get some promotion.
Love it. Great. Last algae question, and I'm going to answer this one because it's an easy question. How do you pick your keywords? The answer is Publisher Rocket.
Yes.
A product by Dave Chesson. It costs, what, $99?
Yeah.
But for forever.
Yes.
If you can't afford it because you're only making $9 a month, you have friends who have it. So ask them to find your keywords for you.
Yes.
Round two is from authors who are making two figures, $10 to $99 a month, and they are plankton. Question number one, how in the world do you market with a small budget?
I had $60 when the first book came out. You just start small, but you do something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be ads. It can be the newsletter swaps. They are free. It is meeting people. It is learning from them, but then also promoting them to your small little followers, and they will eventually promote you, or somebody else will. But If you do run ads, when I started, you could run some some Amazon ads for $2 to $5 and move the needle. It's harder to do that now. But a $10 Facebook ad, which is $10 a day, that's not cheap. But that will move the needle, but don't jump in unless you know what you're doing. You really need to know.
Social media,
Yes.
they're free. Like Facebook, for my first year, my primary promotion and ads, or not ads, primary promotion was Facebook. It's free. Build a Facebook group, connect with readers. Doesn't cost a thing.
That's really good.
Adding on to that, I'll actually disagree that it doesn't cost a thing. Promotion is expensive, but doesn't have to be money.
it's time.
It costs time. If you don't, it saves me time to run Facebook and AMS ads. So part of what I am paying for in those ads is time that I am writing and I am not spending as much on the social media stuff. You want to not spend money yet on Facebook and AMS, you're still going to be making the investment, it'll just be time.
I'd just add to that with Facebook ads, it doesn't have to be pushing a book. You could just be building your newsletter mailing list at this point. And then even at $5 a day, that can be, my ad for my newsletter is only $5 a day, still now. And that builds me a lot of readers.
That leads really well into our next question, Caroline, well done. Because the next question is, what's the best way to get people to sign up for your newsletter? And they added a couple of questions to that. Do you have a specific wording in your front and back matter or links?
I'll just say, free novella is what I give away with my Facebook ads. It's 20,000 words, and it leads into my Academy series. So you get the reader through as well as getting the newsletter sign-ups.
Yeah, reader magnets, one preferably that you have out all the time, that you just run like pop-up ads on your website or that you promote on Facebook, and then run promotions with other authors and run a Prolific Works, which is the horrible name for Insta-freebie. Run a Prolific Works giveaway. If you can manage to get into contact with a few bigger name authors, they're usually willing to jump in and just lend their name so they can help promote all the free books in that giveaway. And that can get you a ton of new newsletter subscribers. I guess about half of my newsletter subscribers came from giveaways like that.
At the end of my first book, because I wrote slow and I didn't have another book, I included a second epilogue. And so it says at the end of the book, if you want to know what happens to Scarlett and Gavin a year later, it involves a hot rock star, a naked trip to the barn, and a Baptist preacher. Click here. Who's not going to click? So, and that second epilogue is like 1,500 words. It didn't take me very long to write, and I get more subscribers from that than I do my novella that I do give away, because it's the same couple.
Yeah, I do that one as well, and I get a lot of people to sign up from the back of my book because they're already excited about you because they finished a book and they love that couple. They want more. They're gonna click. Plankton. Do you think Facebook reader groups are essential to success as a romance author?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. I think it depends on your subgenre in romance. I write gay romance, and reader groups to our genre are everything. It's the primary way where people hang out because they're usually closed groups, sometimes secret groups, so people feel safe and comfortable hanging out there and chatting. There's obviously a little bit of embarrassment about reading gay romance. I don't know why, but building my reader group has been crucially important. I started 2 years ago, obviously with 0. I'm now up to 3,000, and it's just super, super effective in promoting my books.
Question for you. Would you say it's more important to go to existing we're at Plankton?
No, we're at Plankton.
Plankton. So I'm a Plankton. Would you recommend I start by building my own Facebook group and promoting that, or join existing Facebook groups and start commenting on those?
Both. start your own group. I started mine before my first book came out, but I was also super active in the Facebook groups of other well-known authors, just to get my name out there. Name recognition is everything. People need to see, the rule of 7 on average, something 7 times before they buy it. And if you're a new author, they need to see your name. They need to start recognizing you as, oh, that's her and her, she has also a book out. Oh, she just started this and this, so definitely both.
Yeah, I agree with that. I started my Facebook group off of, I was very active in another romance authors group, and she let me do a party in her group, and in that I invited people to join my brand new group. I got 300 people in one day, because she had a very active group that they knew who I was already. So so both, the answer is both. But also my Facebook group is integral to my marketing plans. They really help me boost my book, and I know they're excited to buy it. Boost my boobs. This is the romance author.
I just add to that because I know it's difficult to start building your group, and I didn't do it the traditional way. I basically wanted to get an ARC team together originally beforehand. I moved into paranormal romance and I didn't have an audience. So on Goodreads, I went through reviewers for similar genres and similar books to mine that I was writing, and I emailed people and asked if they would read my book when it came out. And I got, of the about 1,000 people that I contacted over months, I got 100 art reviewers who I brought to Facebook in a group. They still review me today, and they're really loyal. And then that's a bit of a different way to have built one, but you can do that. It was ballsy. You have to be really personal if you do that. Read their review and talk to them directly. It took a long time, but you could start by doing less than I did. You don't have to be that ballsy as I did it.
I'm going to add a little tip to Facebook groups. Your group is not for you to sell to. Your group is there because they want to talk about books and boys and whatever. Your group should also be your brand. So my group is obviously Curvy Girl Romance. It's called Aaward's Amazeballs. And my tagline for my group is we talk about books, boys, and body positivity. A majority of the posts in the group are like girl power and, girls with curves type of stuff. Every once in a while, something about a book. So I have that tip for you for your Facebook groups. Don't sell to them. All right, last one from the Plankton, and I think this one's actually super important for every single level, which is why I included it. How do you battle self-doubt and imposter syndrome?
I might just start, because yesterday I was saying to some of the girls, I was like, I can't believe I'm on a panel, I feel like such an imposter. So I still get it every day, and I think you just have to remind yourself that everyone's in the same boat, no matter what level you're at. We're all just learning still, and the money doesn't mean that you're, the success. It's just about keep going and talk to people.
Right, and don't compare your inside to somebody else's outside. I mean, we see their final product a lot of the time, because we usually see other authors when they're releasing or they're promoting, and you're, in the bowels of your writing cave, and it's horrible, but I mean, I struggle with it all the time, and having my goals set in front of me, though, too, really helps, because my goals are different than somebody else's goals, and so, but yeah, just because you can't see what's going on in their head, what happened to them when they were in the bowels of their writing cave, so just try really hard not to do that. It's tough.
I love the story that Neil Gaiman shared, that he was at a party where he was talking to a guy who admitted to feeling like an imposter, and it was Neil Armstrong. And that story just really resonated with me, because we're talking about, the first man on the moon, and if he feels like an imposter, then what I'm feeling is normal.
Yeah, I got one on that one as well. Mine is basically fake it till you make it, because I think everyone has imposter syndrome. So now I just assume everyone has imposter syndrome. I'll let you in on a tiny bit of mine. I cry every time I release a book because I'm pretty sure it's really dumb and nobody should buy it and it's really stupid. In fact, this is how far my imposter syndrome goes, even though I make lots of money a month and people beg me for my books. 3 or 4 books ago, 4-ish books, a couple of books ago, one of my best friends had to talk me out of emailing my entire 15,000 person emailing list and asking them, would you please buy it, but please don't read it. I wanted to send that email really badly. Please don't read this book. I would love if you would please still buy it, because that's paying my rent, but please don't read it. Also,
Here's a tip, don't ever do that.
you're right, also, she talked me out of it. Also, number 1 on its list that day.
Also, we all need friends like that.
Yeah, agreed. Friends help with imposter syndrome, hardcore. All right, good. We're out of plankton and we have moved on to prawn. Yay! Some of you are even lobsters. $100 to $999 a month. If you're making $500 or more, you're a lobster. What was the best thing you did to gain visibility among new readers, especially when you didn't have very many books out?
I wrote to market.
Facebook. Seriously, Facebook.
Okay, good. I like those answers. Did you see fluctuation in your income month to month at this level? And what did you do to start making that become more consistent?
I would say that I think you get highs and lows. You will always, but every time you have a new release, the bar goes up. So just look at the bottom line and watch that moving rather than be like, oh, I had this many sales this day and now it's like tanked again. After your release, just look at where that all levels out after a couple of months, and it should be higher than your last release.
Because I'm a numbers geek, I find their major highs and lows, but they are in a predictable pattern. So, for example, with my full-length release novels, that came out in 3 or a little more months apart, I knew that there would be an exponential half of revenue. It was the exact same ad spend. So if I made X in the release month, the next month it would be 1/2 of X, the next month it would be 1/4 of X. When I started an experiment in the last year, I wanted to write continuation in a novella series. So I was like, hey, I love Netflix. I love that whole, there's a series, but there's like episodes. So there's an episode arc, like Buffy. So I tried that. I am a slow writer. I write much, much slower than people on this panel. Oh, that's true. All right. For me to release a book every 3 months, I have to pre-write quite a bit of that. So said I'm going to try novellas, and they're going to release at more steady intervals. And yes, now when I look, it's predictable. The more steady the releases and closer together, the less that deviation is, but I found that experiment did not resonate well with my readers, as well as the full-length books, so I'm going to go back, and what I'm going back to is, I know I'm not going back to a steady income stream, I'm going back to spikes and drop valleys, and that's a predictable change in pattern.
Okay, I don't do any of that because I release books really far apart. And I wish, imposter syndrome, I wish I could do all that. But I do keep my income fairly consistent, but I keep it consistent with ads. And I always hate saying that because ads cost money. And I know a lot of us don't, when I started, I didn't have a lot of money. And so, but there was a year between releases and my income was the same every month except the month before the release of the next book because I had pulled back on advertising to save money for the launch. It can be done. You have to babysit it, which, that's a lot of work and it's time. And so anyway, it can be done, but it's tricky.
I agree. When I hit lobster, it was the very first time I started running ads, and that is what made my income consistent and grow. And I was spending literally $3 a day, and only for like 10 days at a time. that can help. Lobsters. Oh, have you and how did you really hone in on who your market is, who your reader is, who is your customer? How did you do that?
I am a reader of my genre, so I think that was the biggest thing. Market research is, you get to call it market research, but it's actually just reading your favourite genre. I hope if you're writing in it that you do love it. If not, and you're just doing it for the money, then it might be harder for you. Just if, like, because you have to push yourself through reading those books. But I love it, so that's how I get to know my readers, because I'm one of them, and then that's how I learn the tropes.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that. My section there is laughing really hard. Look, gay romance is different. Most of our readers are women. I want to say about 90% of our readers are women. But other than that, it's super varied because they don't share a lot of characteristics that we can identify that easily. So they're pretty hard to target with ads and stuff. But we do have a good idea of what they think is important in life. A lot of them have LGBT kids, friends, brothers, sisters, so they have some link to the LGBT community. And then we have readers who don't have any link at all, just discovered it and think it's sexy. So, I mean, I was talking to someone, I had got an email last week from a 70-year-old grandma who is reading my books while babysitting her granddaughter. I mean, you know, whatever floats your boat.
Well, I went to Chris Fox's lecture an hour ago, so I'm working on answering that question. But similarly, the question I did have answered, that was a tongue-in-cheek answer, but the question I did have answered was, what do my readers like? So I knew that what was emotionally important to my readers, what was emotionally traumatizing to my readers, and while I have a guess as to who those readers physically are, if I was to walk into a crowded room and to say, you are my reader, go over there, and so are you, I can't right now. That's what I learned that I should be doing in Chris Fox's awesome lecture. So you should watch it on video if you haven't seen it. But I went in not knowing that. I knew, though, just like you said, what was important. I had the emotional profile, but I did not have a physical profile.
I do run a weekly poll in my newsletter and on my website where I ask readers about their habits, about what they think is important. And there are questions like, what is the average age of the characters you prefer? How many books do you read a week? That one is interesting, by the way, because in our genre, they're voracious readers. Like, we have readers who easily read between 5 and 10 books a week, which is why most of us in gay romance are in KU, because none of them can afford to buy 5 to 10 books a week, and they use KU to, you know, sustain that reading habit. That's where the money is for us. So look at your genre and determine whether or not you have voracious readers or not. If you have the type of readers who read 1 book a month, probably KU is not the best option for you. But that kind of stuff I do ask about my readers. I can't tell you what their hobbies are or stuff like that, but I know what they like, and if there's one tip I want to send you home with, it's tropes, tropes, tropes. You want to know trope. What trope do they like? What trope do they have enough of? What trope do they want more of? And also in a trope, what do they hate? Really simple example is what we call the great misunderstanding. If you ask readers, what do you hate in romance, it's the great misunderstanding. Look, if the conflict between the 2 main characters can be solved with a 5-minute talk, that's the great misunderstanding, and it sucks. Right? You see a guy and he's kissing another woman and it turns out to be his sister and it's the wrong angle, whatever. Look, if all she needed to do was, and this is not gay romance obviously, but I don't want to make you uncomfortable. If all she needed to do was ask him, like, I saw you kissing someone, that's the great misunderstanding. It's just stupid. It's lazy plotting and readers hate it. Free tip.
I love the ask your newsletter tip. I do surveys in mine all the time and find out what they like.
Survey?
I
Do
actually
you use SurveyMonkey for
actually
that?
use I do Google Docs because my surveys are an entry into a giveaway. Entices more people to answer my survey, and I'm usually giving away a pig sign paperback or something like that.
Oh, tell me what's it called again?
I use Google Docs.
Just from Google Docs?
Just Google Docs, and I just make a form that's, hey,
Oh,
here's
just
my
a form with a
here's my
Google
question of the day, and you're entered to win my whatever it is.
I like it.
Google Forms. Forms.
That makes more
Sorry,
sense.
my bad. Okay. Let's move on to trouts and rainbow trouts. What is one thing that you have done that caused your sales to plummet? AKA, what was your greatest mistake that you can learn from?
Yeah, I have. When I don't want, I get lazy and I don't babysit my ads the way I'm supposed to, and what ends up happening is I'm not spending what I know I can spend that month, and so I just kind of let it go because I'm tired and I don't want to get in there, and that's my income will always drop when I do that. So you have to pay attention.
I have one. I write too many series. I have 3 ongoing series right now. Don't do that. Readers really want to finish the series, whatever the series is. I write a dragon series, and they're begging me for the next book. But I've maybe written 3 other books and not the dragon series in between. Maybe that's a giant mistake. Don't do that. That's my answer. If you write in a series, which I think we all do, write series. Yeah. Okay. If you write in a series, when do you decide from a financial standpoint whether to keep writing more books in that series or it's time to move on to something new?
It's called your read-through calculation. It's an Excel sheet, and I've heard about it. I think 20 Books last year. I don't know who came up with it. Brian Meeks, possibly.
There's a lot of them floating around. If you've never done one, I'll post one in Level Up today.
I adapted it to make it my own. What you basically do is you calculate the read-through from book to book, and you keep that up to date. So I put my sales stats in an Excel sheet every week, every Sunday. I just, put them in manually. I know it's crappy work, but whatever. And that feeds into my read-through Excel sheet. That way I can track exactly how each of my books are selling, but also what the read-through is in a series. So what you want to see from book 1 to 2, obviously, you're going to see a drop-off. People read the first book. I don't know what the numbers are now, but basically anything about 70% is pretty decent. Once you see that read-through percentage start to drop, let's say you've written 5 books and the read-through from book 5 to 6 is dropping below 60%, it's time to quit. That series is not going to make you money anymore. It's time to stop writing. The only thing that will dilute your numbers is if you run promotions. The first book in one of my series has been free for a while, which means that now all of a sudden the read-through from book 1 to 2 is a hell of a lot lower because people download the book for free, they don't necessarily read it. Because free books, as we all know, are not as easily read or not, readers don't value them as much as a book that they've bought. But look in the 20 Books group, there is, I don't know where, but I'm sure it's in the All-Star doc. There should be a link to a read-through Excel sheet. It looks intimidating, especially if you don't like math. Here's a confession, I suck at math. I absolutely hate it, but I've learned to love data and numbers, and I'm by now an Excel whiz, so there's hope for you.
Okay, last one, and then we'll open it up because we've got 10 minutes left for questions. So this is the last question. Do you feel there's a major factor in getting the consistent to the trout and rainbow trout level? And I have an answer for this one. One more. What do you got to do to get to trout? It's really what it is, right? So my answer is twofold. 2 things that I think that you have to do. Hashtag probably right. I think you probably have to write to market and be terrific in that. And I think you have to run ads. That's what I think you probably, hashtag probably. need to do to get to consistently try out rainbow trout?
I want to add one thing about the ads that is genre specific. A lot of us in gay romance never run ads because some of our books are not eligible to run ads. Some of our books are, either the cover or the words we have, Amazon doesn't like them. And on Facebook, targeting is really hard if you have a small niche because none of the authors are big enough to define it as a target. So I've made it far past trout without ever running an ad.
Actually,
I do run them now, but not for the longest time, and there's plenty of super successful authors in our genre who never run ads at all.
and if you do run ads, so put your tropes in your ads. Clearly stated tropes in your ads will sell books.
Sorry, what did you do in lieu of ads?
Wrote to market.
I write to market. I call it relational marketing. It's very specific marketing. So I built relationships with the readers. Again, Facebook. I know I start to sound like a broken record, but seriously, Facebook newsletter, word of mouth, posting in groups, building an active online presence, Twitter, Instagram. I do all the social media because that's how I can connect with readers in a small niche. That's where we find them, and then the rest is triggering Amazon's algorithms. Once your book hits high enough in the charts for your genre, Amazon will start recommending it, and once you manage that, you don't need the ads. Amazon is doing the work for you for free.
Just a quick one, the cliche thing, write the next book. The more books you have, it just stacks up and up and up, and eventually you will reach a tipping point, so long as you're selling at some level.
All right, I'm going to bring the microphone up here so you guys can ask questions. We've only got 7 minutes, so make sure you make them short and sweet. What's your favorite place to do promotional newsletter advertising? You know, like book club, but not book club.
Bargain Booksy, Free Booksy. Love them. If you're, I haven't done Free Booksy for ages. I haven't done a free book this thing, but
And it's worked really well.
that's
just
I did a free Booksy 2 months ago and it exploded in sales.
yeah. So I've done 99% on Bargain Booksy.
Not available in our genre. A lot of the newsletters don't have targeted audiences for LGBT books, so it doesn't make sense because if I promote a gay romance to an audience that primarily reads male-female romance, they're not going to read it. It's a waste of money. I do that myself. I have a pretty effective newsletter I run every week, so yeah.
What trends are you expecting to come for YA paranormal romance?
Prison paranormal romance is coming up, we think. Prison. Yeah, and yeah, dark and fae is up.
So even more like hardcore bully romance stuff, like.
Yeah, so I write bully romance. I wouldn't call it hardcore, but that's been around for a little while. I don't know where that's going to go or when it's going to tail off, but it's pretty hot at the moment.
A few years ago, I had a fantastic year, and then life happened, and so everything's gone way down. I'm still making money. I have not released any books for a while, so what would you recommend to get it back up to where I was?
Finish that book.
No, all of my series are finished, but my point is I haven't been able to write because I had issues I had to deal with in my life. I did do a short story last year, so what I'm saying,
So you have completed series.
I have 90 books out.
Okay, then if you run ads, which I'm going to be your ads girl. You
I'll talk them to you later.
run ads to your series, and when you run ads to the series, put completed series. That is like catnip to readers.
Well, I'm going to
'Cause
talk with you afterwards.
Okay.
Okay,
And BookBub, yeah. BookBub ads, yeah.
thanks.
Mine is a Facebook question. I'm struggling with what to post on my Facebook author page versus my reader group, and there seems to be too much overlap between the Facebook author and the reader group. And I find that I put things that are more sell on the Facebook author, which may not be the way to go, so I'm just wondering how you guys differentiate.
First of all, it's not bad or negative if you post the same thing. Because of Facebook algorithms, a lot of people won't even see it twice. So don't worry about posting the same link or the same content on both. On general, for your Facebook page, let's say about 50%, and I'm being optimistic here, guys, because I'm an optimist, about 50% of the people who've liked your page will actually see that post. So if you cross that with the people in your group, I wouldn't be too worried about posting the two things. That being said, a Facebook group is not meant to sell. That's meant to establish your brand, to focus on the core of what is your brand and the pillars of your books. So for, like Aidy said, curvy girls, for me, obviously, LGBT issues are something in my group, but also funny stuff. Like I have a thing for unicorns. People post unicorns in my group whenever they see something with a unicorn. It's like, oh, that's Nora. Pink, I've bought a house and redecorated it, and I have a love for pink. Every time people see a pink Christmas tree, they'll post it in my group. So the group is for fun and for bonding and for building a relationship with readers. Your page is much more to sell. And you want to post fun stuff there as well, so Facebook will show it. So what I do, if I'm on top of this, is post every day. Post one day something fun, a meme. Cats and dogs, people, they do really well. Something that will get likes, because the next time I post something that has more content, like a link to a book or a promotion, Facebook will show it. Because the people liked my post yesterday, so Facebook thinks, oh, they like her content, and they will promote it. So you have to trick Facebook a little in switching off between content-related posts and more fun, engagement-related posts. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for sharing all your knowledge with all of us. I am a non-published author, and I'm excited to start my Facebook group and do all this stuff. Yes. In addition to Facebook, I like pretty much every form of social media, but I know that's exceedingly impractical to try to hit all of them. Do you have a secondary form that you highly recommend touching upon, and why?
What do you write?
What's that?
What do you write?
Oh, I write
What do you write is the question.
Jeff. Jane Austen fan fiction.
I don't care which one you write, the answer is Instagram. Instagram is, more millennials are in Instagram, more boomers are on Facebook, according to the statistics. Okay, boomer. But both of them are our reading audience. I have my Instagram set up that anytime I post to Instagram, it appears on my Facebook page. So I post a lot on Instagram and get a lot of interaction there, and then I also get it on Facebook.
I'm going to do a little promotion here, and I'm not like an affiliate, so I don't get anything off of this. If you are a published author, please get yourself a subscription to ReaderLinks. ReaderLinks is absolutely awesome, and here's why. ReaderLinks allows you to make specific links for your book, depending on the place where you're going to use it, and it allows you to track which social medium works for you. So here's the fun thing. A lot of people say Twitter doesn't work, right? You're never going to get sales off of Twitter. Well, guess what? I started tracking it. On average, if I post a link to my book on Twitter, I get about 20 clicks.
Wow.
So don't tell me it doesn't work. Well, and I gotta say this, I don't even have that, I think I have 2,000 followers on Twitter. I'm not that big. Usually I'm pretty active, but because of ReaderLinks, I can track it. I can track if I do a Facebook takeover or a Facebook party, I make specific links for that party so I can track how effective is it. I've posted a while ago and I got permission from one of the biggest names in our genre to post a link in her group, and I could see I got 200 clicks just off that link.
Wow.
So ReaderLinks, people, it pays off. Thank you.
I'm gonna add one more caveat, and we only have time for one more question. The real answer is whatever you like best. If you hate Instagram, don't get on Instagram. If you love Twitter, get on Twitter. There's a billion different ones. Get on what you like because you'll use it consistently, and consistency is more the answer. Last question. Ready, go.
Sorry. So for book launches, do you guys feel like book tours and author interviews and those type of things are worth the money and effort to put into, or money and or effort?
I've never done a book tour.
Yeah, me either. All of my launches have been just me doing stuff, but this last launch I used 20Books for a blog tour. I did it because I had a little screw up with my budget before the book launched, and so I was kind of scrambling. I can't tell you that it helped. What I can tell you is it did. Those sorts of things, it's hard to track ROI on those. It's really more of exposure. And so there is something to be said for that, but it really kind of depends what you write too. If you write straight contemporary romance or rom-com or probably, I don't know, paranormal, I don't know, but I just know that like those genres, they do get a little bump out of it and you get exposure to bloggers that you wouldn't have, that wouldn't have seen your book. So I can't really say, I wouldn't spend a lot of money doing it.
I like the idea of knowing exactly what you're using the tool for. So I have done launches with book tours and without, and I'll do a quick explanation for why I chose. It wasn't just oh, this doesn't work. No, it works for what I needed it to work for. So the things that I find useful in book tours, before I had a good, I like for by the time my book launches on Amazon, I like for there to be at least 50 reviews already posted. So before I had an arc too where I'm not worried about getting those 50 reviews. There we go. Blog tours were a way to help me get there because I would be doing blog tours with a kind of a review. I'm giving you an advanced copy for you to do a review in your, and not so much just me talking on the blogs. Second reason, when I was doing blog tours, what I was looking for is some specific reader behavior. Let's say I was trying to build up my following on Amazon. So I was using blog tours as a way of other people promoting my raffle culture for me, in essence. Right? So that was the goal of the blog tour, and it accomplished that goal. I have not found them effective for the goal of general exposure. In Reverse Harem, those 7 touches of advertising, my readers hang out in a few very specific Facebook groups. I was going to get a whole lot more by doing takeovers in those groups where the readers are than the bloggers were getting. And I would ask bloggers for stats before, deciding whether to go to them and looking for what they're getting. But it's what's the reason for that tour.
I just wanted to say, if you have questions and you didn't have the time to ask them, come find us. We have a few minutes after the panel to answer them. Come find me. I can't tell for everybody else, sorry.
Just real quick on launching, Goodreads. I know everybody hates it, but you should not. Goodreads has 5 tools you can use to launch your book. Only one of them costs money. So you can get on and you can find those things, talk to the Goodreads people that are here. They saved my bacon on my last launch. It was really amazing.
Thank you very much for leveling up.